this was a draw. Both sides in this, Chris and Laura, the strategy is very obvious from almost the opening bell, if you will. It was to talk past one another in the case of Tim Kaine and Mike Pence and attack the running mates and the tops of the tickets, Hillary Clinton and in that case, Donald Trump. Kaine tonight talking a lot about the temperament of Donald Trump, repeatedly trying to force Mike Pence into defending some of the remarks of Donald Trump. Pence, for his part, trying to point out the policies of not only Hillary Clinton, but the 2 terms of Barack Obama, each trying to inject one another's point of view over one another. They often interrupted each other or tried to. Sometimes it made it hard to follow the points they were trying to make. At one point, they were talking about how each side seems to disrespect the other's supporters. Here's what they said on that matter.
Donald Trump during this campaign has called Mexicans rapists and criminals. He's called women slobs, pigs, dogs, disgusting. I don't like saying that in front of my wife and my mother.
Donald Trump had said all the things that you said he said in the way you said he said them. He still wouldn't have a fraction of the insults that Hillary Clinton leveled when she said that half of our supporters were a basket of deplorables.
Now, Pence, as you would imagine, went after one of the key components and messages and campaign points that the Republicans have been making this fall, and that is Hillary Clinton and her private email server. This is what Pence said about that in the debate tonight in Virginia.
Hillary Clinton had a private server in her home that had classified information on it about drone strikes. Emails from the President of the United States of America were on there. Her private server was subject to being hacked by foreign powers.
I'd like to ask you about Syria.
We could put cybersecurity first if we just make sure the next Secretary of State doesn't have a private server.
A full investigation concluded that not one reasonable prosecutor would take any additional step. You don't get to decide the rights and wrongs of this. We have a justice system that does that.
Now, as you could see during that clip there, the moderator had her hands full all night long. One of the recurring themes in the questioning and everything that was said tonight was, is America safer today than it was, say, 8 years ago? This is what Pence and Kaine said when they were asked to respond to that question during the debate.
The terrorist threat has decreased in some ways because bin Laden is dead. The terrorist threat has decreased in some ways because an Iranian nuclear weapons program has been stopped. The terrorist threat to United States troops has been decreased in some ways because there's not 175,000 in a dangerous part of the world. There's only 15,000.
Because Hillary Clinton failed to renegotiate a status of forces agreement that would have allowed some American combat troops to remain in Iraq, ISIS was able to be literally conjured up out of the desert, and it's overrun vast areas.
And as some of you may know, Tim Kaine is a native of the Kansas City area. At the end of the debate, he managed to get in a name check for his high school here in Rockhurst High. This was a debate where, when it was all over, things remain in place. There were no major mistakes by either one of these candidates. The campaign is pretty much where it was before this debate started some 2 hours ago. Now things move on to the second presidential debate in 5 days. That is at Washington University in St. Louis.